Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Finger Guns Podcast with Tony, Dave, and James, and we are live on location at TIFF.
Yes, we are. We are in the Scotiabank bar or the lounge. I don't know what this is. We are at the Scotiabank. The escalator is working. It is day 4. It is a beautiful day.
It really is. It really is.
It really is. And we've all watched 3 movies today. So, or 3? No,
2.
you motherfuckers only watched 2.
Only
I watched
2.
3 because I woke up early.
Yeah. I needed a nap. I was tie.
And I had
Get
to
outta here.
completely rearrange my day 4.
Yes.
It's been trying times on
Yeah,
day 4 for Big
But
T.
you knew that was going to be the case. Your day 4 was kind of a little bit up in the air already.
I went in a little bit hopeful,
Yeah.
and I was kind of crushed in the morning, but it did turn around, and I was pretty awesome.
Great. Yes.
Pretty excited.
Yeah.
Pretty
It was
jazzed.
great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It ended up working out just great.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. The TIFF gods always provide.
They do.
They
do.
always provide. They always provide. But we didn't introduce ourselves.
I'm your Finger Guns at TIFF co-host Jimmy, and I'm here with
Big T, Tony B.
and
Huge TIFF fanboy Dave Baldwin.
hell yeah, we are crushing it. We're crushing it. So we want to come to you live. We're trying to do a few of these. I mean, we have some video recordings as well that we're working on. But in the meantime, we have a few that we want to get out and in the open and into your ear holes. And let's kick it off. We got to get through this. It's
Yeah, let's
Finger
do it.
Guns.
We'll get through this.
All right, so what do we want to start with?
Why don't we just start with the movie we just came out of?
Hell yeah.
David-
I think it's a great
Yes.
idea.
I think so. David Mackenzie's Relay, which you two had tickets for, and I had to rush with my boy Shaq and my boy Shaw. I said we all got in, and
Fantastic.
and then I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's going for the Guinness World Record, and I had to sign his form, so I feel honored to be part of that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that was cool. He was in one of my other screenings that I went to as well, and it's an endeavor that he's going for, and all power to him. I don't know what else to really say, but good luck. I hope he hits it.
I wish him well.
I wished him luck. I think he appreciated that he didn't need to give me the spiel. I knew exactly who he was and what he wanted me to do.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we saw Relay, which, a David Mackenzie film starring Riz Ahmed, Sam Worthington,
Lily
James.
and
World premiere.
it was the world premiere, first time ever, and it was a thriller.
Yes.
Riz Ahmed. Riz Ahmed's character works as an intermediary to protect whistleblowers and trying to get documents back to the right people and make sure everyone's interests are protected in terms of payments and money and everything else.
Is he really protecting? He's not so much protecting a whistleblower so much as whatever the opposite of whistleblowing is, because they don't want.
Yeah, they
They don't want to
blow the whistle
whistle. They just want to
anymore.
They just want to give it back.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they had second thoughts and want to give it back.
They want to give it
Exactly.
back, and they want to be safe and protected and not, no further harm coming to them, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So Lily Collins, or not
Lily
Lily
James.
Collins, Lily James. My apologies, Miss James. She is one of those whistleblowers who had a change of heart, and she wants to find a way out of the situation she's in. So she contacts our boy Riz, and then it starts kind of like a cat and mouse type game, because he's giving her instructions without being with her.
Correct.
And then the company is trying to find him and get her type thing. So it's a little twisty.
There's a lot of twists and turns.
all of it revolving, and I mean the main title is coming around the fact that Riz Ahmed's character uses the relay service, which is a service that people who are deaf or hard of hearing can use in order to converse on the phone with folks. So yeah, that's where that comes from. It's a really cool, I think, plot device and idea, and like it got a lot of laughs every time because there was like a standard opening and closing. So anytime that was happening, it usually got quite a few laughs. So it was
I love that
it was a cool
bit.
device.
Yeah,
I liked
absolutely.
It was an interesting device. I've never heard of that service, but it was a cool framing device.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally that whole thing Yeah,
No,
I've experienced it on the flip side. When I worked in a call center, I used the relay service to communicate with some folks, and it was
Nice.
it was exactly that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
code phrases that they know so that you're done talking, and
Yeah.
and on the vice versa. Yeah, but it's a really cool service.
Yeah,
Very nice.
no, I assumed it was real. It's just I've never had any experience with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, the film itself had quite a lot of twists.
Yeah.
I don't think all of them worked very well.
Some of them did, some of them didn't. They did a good job of keeping you on the edge of your seat. Like my heart was racing during some of the scenes and stuff. But I feel like it was too twisty. They like you couldn't really trust anything. Yeah, they're playing into the paranoia and stuff, and I saw a lot of similarities with this movie and like old Hitchcock movies, and I would say 3 Days. What was the other movie that came to mind? 3 Days of the Concord. That one came
Condor.
up. Condor,
yeah.
and The Conversation as well.
Yes, I was also thinking about the conversation midway
Yeah.
through this movie.
So they did a good job, and they said at the beginning that they don't really have these kinds of movies anymore, and I really appreciated it, the ode to like the 70s thrillers. But like I said, too many twists, doesn't really stick the landing. And yeah, what did you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was pretty good, but not great by any stretch. I mean, it might be a movie that I want to revisit at some point, and see, because during the Q&A they were kind of talking about that as well, like how it could, you might pick up on things again on the second viewing. So
Yeah.
I might, but it's definitely for me, it was kind of mid. I'm not a huge recommend on this one. I would kind of say wait.
I liked the story more than I did anything else. Like the acting was pretty mid range. Obviously, Riz was amazing.
Watching that, and this conversation may come up again, but watching it, I immediately kind of thought of my dad, and I was like, he would probably like this. He would probably enjoy this kind of movie.
You think it's a dad movie?
I think it's a dad movie.
It's definitely a dad movie.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's the right kind of thriller for him.
My boy Riz was risen, and that kept me entertained the whole time. And he's like very man of few words, and he doesn't really speak for like the first like 30-40 minutes of the movie, and like you're just hanging on what he's saying, what his expressions and what he's doing. So I thought that was really cool. And Willa Fitzgerald from Strange Darling shows up in a supporting role, which was really good. You haven't seen Strange Darling yet. Yeah. You need to see Strange Darling.
I will.
Absolutely.
I will add it to my list.
Shot in 35 millimeter.
Wow.
By cinematographer Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh yes, that's right. It's the Giovanni Ribisi movie. Cinematography movie. Yes. Excellent.
But I think this one is a wait. It definitely has distribution in Canada. I'm not too sure about the States. But
yeah, I think that's it for Relay.
I think that's it for Relay. Why don't we cut to Last Showgirl, which definitely does not have distribution yet, or if it does, it just got it.
Yes.
We saw this. Me and Tony saw the world premiere of this on Friday afternoon. James, you saw it on Saturday.
I did.
Yes. It is about an aging showgirl played by Pamela Anderson.
Correct.
And her show is ending after 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
The razzle dazzle.
The razzle dazzle. And she doesn't really know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And she kind of has a strained relationship with her daughter.
Yes.
And so that factors into a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then she also has some kids in the razzle dazzle show that she's kind of like the matriarch for.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did we think of this? This was directed by Gia Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola was in the audience the other day.
Yes,
Tony went bananas.
Yes,
Absolutely,
and he was
I did.
there.
And Macaulay Culkin was there for supporting his wife Brenda Song. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
I was pretty mid on this.
Yeah.
There's definitely some peaks and valleys. A lot of people are talking about Pamela Anderson's performance, but I was more focused on Jamie Lee Curtis and our boy Dave Bautista. I think the two of them stole the show for me.
Definite standouts.
Brenda Song was also good, and
Kieran Shipka.
Yeah, she was actually good as well.
And Billy Lord.
Billy Lord.
It's a good ensemble.
Very good ensemble cast. Very strong female characters and stuff.
And Dave Bautista.
And Dave Bautista. Very, very soft-spoken Dave Bautista.
Yes.
And as you haven't seen him like this, and I hope there's more of him.
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him do more roles like this as opposed to standard action roles.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been some stuff circulating around, at least some opinions that maybe like Pamela Anderson was miscast or not the right choice for this and that. And I completely disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
While it's maybe not like the best standout performance in the movie, I think she delivered a really, really solid performance. And I think it's a good indication if people can give her more of a chance.
Yeah, if people give her, like, it proves that she can pull off something like this.
Yeah.
Because nobody's really given her a chance to do this kind of role before that really sink her teeth into like an actual thematic role. Like she said during the Q&A, this is the first cohesive script she's ever been handed.
Yeah.
But she's been in the industry for 30 plus years, which says so much.
Yeah.
But she's very, very good in it. And if this is the start of a dramatic career for her, or dramatic reinvention, I'm all here
We're
for
all
it.
here for it. Yeah.
I'm all here
Absolutely.
for it. And the only other thing I wanted to note was Jamie Lee Curtis has like an orange spray tan in the movie, and it's so off-putting. And then when she walked out, I was like, "What?" She looked completely different.
Yeah.
It's
Very,
wild.
very jarring.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
jarring.
Very
when we saw it.
jarring.
Yeah.
Very jarring.
Was she wearing a power suit like she was for the Halloween premiere that we were at a few
No,
years
not
back?
quite.
All
Not
right,
quite.
all right.
Not quite. And then the only other thing was, did you guys think that it was blurry as shit at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought I wasn't sure if that was a choice or
It was definitely
something
a choice.
was fucked up.
They only had like 19 days to film, so it might have been they didn't have a choice.
They
Yeah.
went with what they had.
They
All
went
right.
with what they had, which I admire. But yeah, it's blurry as shit at the beginning. It definitely gets better as it goes along.
But it's definitely an achievement filming something like that in 19 days. It's no easy task.
Sure, yeah, it's quick.
And kudos to Gio Coppola and the cast for being able to do that.
Yep, for sure. It's a testament to them as actors, I think, to be able to pull it off
Absolutely.
in 19 days and really land it and nail it. So
And
good
just
for them.
getting those performances out of them for sure.
Exactly.
I guess next we can do. We want to call him Ron Howard, or we want to call him Opie?
Oh man,
Oscar winner Ron Howard's new
Howard.
film Eden,
Eden.
which had its world premiere on Saturday night. That
we were in attendance.
we
were
managed
in
to get
attendance,
into
yeah.
at the Roy Thompson Hall.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever gone to a. No, I went to score a hockey musical, which I don't really think counts. But it was my first real gala premiere in the gala spot.
Yeah, I was at one as well. I went to not this year because there is a Tragically Hip documentary that's taken place this year, but this was a few years back. I was at that one, and the surviving members of the Tragically Hip were in attendance. So that was really nice. But it's same similar situation. They were sitting in the same spot that the stars and director were sitting in for our screening too. So
Yeah.
it was cool.
Definitely cool.
So I knew like literally nothing about this movie.
Absolutely
Fuck,
nothing.
the press image was Ron Howard. Like, I didn't even know what to expect.
Which is crazy, but it's a period piece, and it stars Jude Law, Vanessa Kirby, Daniel Bruhl,
Sydney Sweeney.
my girl Sydney Sweeney, and Anna de Armas.
Yes.
And apparently it's based on kind of a true story.
It's based on an actual thing that happened in sort of two conflicting reports, because they did, at the end of it, they were mentioning there was two books basically with contradictory opinions. But the a character that Sydney Sweeney played, Margaret Witter, was real, existed, lived until 96, died at the age of 96 in 2000 and still lived on the island.
So the whole plot of the movie is that Jude Law's character is with his partner Vanessa Kirby, and that he's a doctor, she has MS.
Yeah.
And they're on like their own island type thing. They're having their own they're making their own civilization. They're making the rules up as they go along.
Yeah.
And then he's like basically like sending out letters into the ocean, and then they're publishing them when they find them.
They basically want to find a way to save humanity.
He as a doctor kind of lost faith in humanity. He checked out, kind of thing. He wanted to be alone and to figure out how to better humanity from itself. Like that was his whole goal, was to be like, fuck this, I'm checking out. I will write back to you when I figure out how humanity should be.
And it's all happening around 1929. So like the
Great Depression,
the Great Depression, the rise of Nazi Germany as well.
Yeah. All of that is all happening around the same time. And anyway, so these letters make it back to I don't know, the Western world, let's call it, at some point. And it leads to some people wanting to experience that for themselves. So they also come out. So that led to Daniel Bruhl, Sydney Sweeney's sort of family, the Witters, coming out to the island, and then it also led to Ana de Armas's character coming
The
into
Baroness.
The Baroness.
The Baroness.
Who wanted to open a resort on the island.
On the
Yeah.
island.
I mean, after that, it's really just a sort of a study on what sort of humanity in a way, and like what happens when you put three people in close proximity with no sort of societal rules or niceties or pleasantries, and what happens
Like a Lord of
when
the
you-
Flies type thing.
Yeah,
I
what
was gonna
happens
say
when
like
you
a-
just
like a-
leave people to their own devices and make the living situation tough? Like it's a fucking deserted island essentially. So like it's
Yeah, they have to come up with their own food. Like they have a couple of cans of food, but they
Yeah.
have to come up with their own food sources. They have to build their own shelter.
their own water,
Their own
sources,
water
everything.
sources.
It's like a survival of the fittest kind of
Absolutely.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's unlike anything Ron Howard has ever done. He's very
Oh,
safe
yes.
in his filmmaking. Very like if you watch a Ron Howard movie, you know you're watching a Ron
Exactly,
Howard movie.
yeah.
But this one's more gritty, more brutal. It's definitely more violent, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a lot more handheld ish
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
bush.
Yeah.
So I admire that because it's nice to see him finally
push the
break
envelope. Yeah.
to push the envelope and finally break out of his like
Absolutely.
normalcy.
He's taking a big swing
He's
with
taking
this
a
one,
risk,
and
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
He's outside of his comfort zone. He's doing something different, and yeah, I definitely admire that
Yeah.
about this movie.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that work through the film itself.
Yeah, there's a really thrilling birth scene that's
Oh my
fucking
God.
crazy
Yeah.
intense and may have led to a major health emergency during the
Yeah.
premiere where they had to stop the movie for 20 minutes to tend to a woman who was having an emergency in the audience.
Yeah. So also that happened, and that's the first time that's ever happened to me at a screening where they had to physically stop the movie. All the house lights came up, and they had to tend to a woman who was clearly like
In
not
distress.
Well. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very not well. And
As far as we know, she's
as
okay.
far as we know, she's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did change, I think, the way that I look back on that movie too, because like I can't process it as a whole anymore. There's a gap.
Of course.
It was like they forced an intermission into the middle of this movie, which didn't
Yeah.
necessarily have an intermission or need one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It may be something that will cause me to revisit it later when it's probably on VOD or something.
definitely
but-
revisit it. I feel like I can't really form like a concrete opinion on it, right?
Yeah.
Because like with that forced intermission that happened, it kind of grinds the movie to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And I would say it doesn't really keep up with the first half versus the second half. The first half
Yeah.
I was very into it, whereas the second half, it kind of lost me.
yeah.
I think it's also like a tonal issue.
Yeah.
Like the tone is very all over the place in this movie because there's like some really funny parts and then there's some really bleak parts.
Like really horrific parts. Yeah.
And real horror. And I think even with that the so-called intermission we're talking about, like it's still all over the place.
Yeah.
And it definitely could have been trimmed down. I know that's a theme that we're going to keep bringing up this TIFF is that movies definitely needed to be trimmed down, not just because we love our 90-minute movies, but because some of these movies are way too fucking
way too
long.
Exactly.
And this movie's 129 minutes. Like it's way too fucking long.
Yeah.
I will say though that you're talking tonally, and I agree that in the beginning half, the first half of the movie, it is tonally all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
But what I think the kicker is too, and especially with that unfortunate medical emergency, is from that scene onwards, the tone shifts in one direction and kind of stays there for the rest of it. So you kind of lost where maybe the switch would have happened because you kind of had to rewatch everything again.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just thrown off. But it was that moment. It was during a dinner scene.
It's a pivotal moment.
Ana de Armas's character, it starts with a song anyway, so that's when the medical emergency happens. But right after she's done singing, like that dinner goes off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
And like it is like menacing in a way. Ana de Armas is terrifying in a sense. Like
She's like doing the work here. Like this is like one of her best performances to date. Like she's incredible in Blonde, but her accent was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
In this film, her accent is like steady. Like, and it's not her normal Cuban accent, and it's like she like really goes all out here, puts it all out there. Like, yeah, some of her performance is a little Gonzo, Looney Tune-ish, but like I was hanging on how fucking crazy she was in this movie and how fucking intense she was.
And I think it goes as a testament that something does happen during this movie, and the reaction the audience gave to it was like very outward.
Yeah.
And it was very like, okay, that worked, I think, very, very, very well.
Of course.
So I think, you know, it just is a testament to how she pulled that character together and acted through it, because like it really worked.
Yeah.
Clearly it resonated with everybody in that screening. So
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Daniel Bruhl is fine. He doesn't really do
fine.
anything. Vanessa Kirby doesn't really do much.
I wanted more from Vanessa Kirby. I wanted to see her more on
I also
screen.
wanted to know, there's a moment at the beginning, and this isn't giving a spoiler for anything, but there's a moment at the beginning where Jude Law's character, the doctor, is like removing insects from her skin, and they never addressed that. They never went back to it. I assumed it was something
he would have been
related
doing like experimental treatment to like treat her MS, right?
Assumed
That's
that
what I would. That's what I would have assumed.
That's what I assumed, but it was
Yeah.
never really like, because the other thing was, he was like, oh yeah, to get rid of your MS, you just have to meditate. I was like, so what are we going for? Are you doing like weird experimental bug shit, or
Yeah.
Well, he
are you
clearly
just
wasn't
holistic meditation?
He clearly
What's-
wasn't all right in the head. Like, he didn't have all his teeth, and for some reason he's walking around with his fucking dong hanging out.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
ladies, and anybody else who's interested, Jude Law lets it all hang out. And even Cameron Bailey was blushing during the Q&A and asking
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. So where do we land on this?
I would say I was pretty mid on it. There's
Yeah.
like
It's
very high,
fine.
it's very high peaks and valleys. I like certain scenes in it, but other scenes didn't work as well.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
It's not a great film by
No.
any stretch. I admire that he's taking a swing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I hope that he continues to take a swing.
And just do
maybe
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want Sydney Sweeney to keep getting roles like this.
Absolutely.
Her accent is a little dodgy, but like she's
That's fine.
very,
She
very
figured
good
it
in
out.
this.
Yeah.
This movie might come back maybe in a future episode later on when it comes out. You know, I know Tony and I think myself are planning on revisiting it, at least just to see it in a whole.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll talk more about it then and see how it sort of landed. But yeah, otherwise fine, I think is the
Yeah.
Just
It's
aggressively
fine.
fine. Aggressively
fine. Like there's a lot. It could have been. It has the potential to have been better.
yeah. Next up.
Next up, where are we looking? Our last world premiere we wanted to talk about was Unstoppable.
Oh yes, tell me about it.
Yes, it's about a young American. It's based on a true story, and it's about an American athlete. He's a wrestler, and he only has one leg.
Anthony Robos.
Anthony Rolos. Robus.
Yeah.
He's
Anthony
real,
Robos.
and he wants to make it, and he doesn't want anybody to just hand it to him. So like he has to try out for the wrestling team in college, and he has to go through the grind of proving himself worthy of being on the team, even though he has a disability. And then he's played by Jerome Jarrell. And then Jennifer Lopez plays his mother. Bobby Cannavale is his stepfather. Don Cheadle is the college coach. And Michael Pena, who I love, is the high school coach. It's your standard coming-of-age inspirational sports drama. Underdog. It takes some cues from Rocky. Tony's showing me right now. I said his name wrong. It's Jarrell Jerome.
Yes.
He's very, very good in this
He's
movie.
so good. He gives it 110% in everything that he does. He's going to be a rising star.
Oh, wow.
I cannot wait to see more of him. He is
He's been a
fabulous.
rising star forever. I want him
Yeah.
to have more lead roles like this.
Yes, absolutely.
And they do a really good job with the special effects, because I genuinely thought he only had one leg, and they managed to cast the only one-legged wrestler actor
That's
in
amazing.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
He really found his niche.
Yeah.
But the actual gentleman did the stunt work.
Yes.
So it's
Oh,
a
wow.
mix
Okay.
of visual effects and stunt work.
Wow.
Which is very cool, because the
Very
wrestling scenes are intense.
Very intense.
And like they're like definitely like in it with you, like you're seeing the wrestling, versus when we were talking about Last Showgirl, we don't really get to see them do the show.
Right.
No, which was kind of a
it's all
disappointing
around
thing.
their show.
Yeah.
Versus this, where you're like in the shit with these wrestlers, watching them fucking
Yeah.
hurt each other, or like fucking like all the moves.
Yeah.
It's really, really, it's well done. It's just, it's an inspirational movie, and it's nothing new. I think the only new thing I would take out of it is the fact that he doesn't have a love interest. His love interest is wrestling.
Fair.
Yeah. It doesn't reinvent the wheel or anything. It's a crowd pleaser. If you want a nice underdog sports movie, this is definitely it. I really enjoyed it. It was exactly what I was expecting. And sometimes that's okay.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser, and yeah, exactly. Just sometimes that's okay. It doesn't it doesn't need to be like Scott Feinberg was talking on Hollywood Reporter about how it doesn't have Oscar chances. Like, who the hell cares?
You don't need it. Not everything needs to be that.
Sometimes a movie can just exist, and this movie just exists, and people are going to enjoy it.
Great.
The only thing I want to note is that there is a carefully handled domestic violence subplot that rang a little too close to home for me and Tony. So just keep that out in your minds if you are watching this and you may be triggered by that. So just wanted to put that one out there.
So is this a must see or a wait and see or
kind of in the mid?
I would say in the middle for sure. You'll definitely be you'll be cheering at the screen. You'll be weeping with joy. If you want to see a sports movie, I would say go see it.
All right, fair enough.
It's enjoyable enough to watch. It's enjoyable enough to watch with the crowd, and I'm sure that people would be cheering and clapping in the appropriate moments.
Absolutely,
I love that. All right, what's next?
Why don't we close off our second episode by talking about The Substance, which James finally saw.
Oh man, I'm so happy we get to talk about this as a three.
Coralie Farge's new sophomore film. She did Revenge in 2017, which I never got to see, but Tony saw, and that movie was fucking awesome. And this movie's
this movie
better,
fucks, man.
Better.
There's not much to say other than like it's it's dealing thematically with aging, with stardom, with relevance in the industry. Beauty, with vanity, with ego. These are all sort of the themes.
Specifically female.
Yeah,
specifically around females.
Around female,
all the male characters are kind of shitty in this
fucking
movie.
Reprehensible,
And the one very reprehensible character played by Dennis Quaid is named Harvey, and it's not subtle. It's not subtle who he's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's he gets I would say, and I think you both agree, the grossest bit in that movie, which is just him eating some food,
eating some shrimp.
Yeah. And it's
revolting,
and it's so uncomfortable. Like out of everything in that film,
the sound design,
just it's like ASMR, dialed up to 11,
and like. I don't know if we made this clear at the beginning or not, but it's a body horror movie.
Absolutely, it is.
A lot of things happen to bodies in this movie that you might not be expecting and you might not be prepared for. And even if you are prepared for it, you probably aren't.
You're definitely not.
Yeah.
It definitely goes to some places that you can't prepare for,
and you'll never unsee.
It's true.
But I absolutely love this movie. It is so far, and I mean, as of right now on the Sunday, my favorite thing that I've seen at the festival so far. It is chef's kiss, no notes, fucking great. Actually, one note, but we'll get to that. But otherwise, no notes, fucking great. I loved every minute of it. Demi Moore is
It's
incredible.
like her best work today.
The best she's ever been.
Margaret Qualley is incredible as well.
They're both so freaking good.
Yeah.
But since you were just talking about the thematics, is basically she finds a black market drug called The Substance, which allows a younger version of you to exist in the world, and then that version of you can only exist for 1 week at a time, and then you have to go back. You have to keep swapping back to your older body,
and there
type
are
thing.
dire consequences if you break those rules.
It's super fucking gross.
But I loved it. And honestly, this is one of those things where I'm going to 100% say, first of all, it's 100% recommend. But more than that, it's a recommend in a theater, on a packed theater if you can.
You got to have an audience.
Weekend, you better find a theater that has a lot of people in it. I know people don't like to be around people, but you need it because it deserves a crowd.
Yeah.
Half the fun I had was watching people squirm in the seats around me, watching myself squirm at moments.
And you said people got up and left.
5 people walked out and never came back. Like a few folks went out to the washroom and came back, but 5 left and never returned. And that makes me so happy.
Yeah, it goes to some revolting disgusting, depraved places.
Yeah.
But the makeup work is
Oh my God,
outstanding.
it's so good.
So
The
good.
practical work is
so
is magnificent. The CGI is a little dodgy in some
at
parts.
parts, but
But
for
that's
the
a
most
minor.
part,
That's a minor.
That's a minor
thing.
thing.
I think my only complaint is towards the end, it felt like it could have ended several times, and it just kind of kept going.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is my only bit where I was like, you know what, you could have picked an ending and stuck with it, but you almost had a Peter Jackson Return of the King issue and just kept pushing through.
And
it
pushing
was-
the envelope.
And pushing and pushing and pushing, and I think at some point it just sort of became, at least towards the end, I was like kind of looking at my watch and like, this is just diminishing returns at this point. You already got me. You
Yeah.
don't need to keep going. We're good.
It's a banger.
That's fair.
It opened Midnight Madness. It's probably going to win the best Midnight Madness movie. It
Absolutely.
blew the doors off the Rat. Like,
Yeah.
I loved every minute of this movie.
Yeah.
I can't get it. Like, I want to see it so badly again.
Same.
Me and Dave saw this 2 weeks before TIFF started, and I actually went to him and said, "Yo, Dave, we should see this again."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's totally worth
that
it.
should tell you all you need to know about this movie. This movie slaps, and then keeps slapping. I can't believe it exists, and I'm so happy it does.
Absolutely. It was incredible. Do we have any others before we wrap up?
I think that's a good way to start off, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we're going to be back. We're going to be back soon anyway. We got some live reactions ready to go as well. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll get those up on Instagram for you, and we'll be able to, for all of you to see that. And so those are some of our live thoughts on a few other movies that we haven't talked about here yet, but we'll be back. And of course, by the time we're done with our TIFF coverage, we'll have covered every movie that the three of us have seen either collectively or separately. We have a lot more planned. Any right off the dome that you're looking forward to seeing over the next couple days?
I'm going to see We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield and Miss Flo that I'm really excited about. I'm really
Yes.
excited about Heretic with Hugh Grant and God willing, Megalopolis, Francis
God,
Ford
I hope
Coppola's
so.
opus. God willing.
Tony, what do you got?
I would say we got Saturday night coming up.
Yes.
I'm really excited for that.
Yes.
Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams documentary that's
Nice.
told with Lego. I'm really excited for that. And I'll put in one that I'm really excited for. It's an Argentinian thriller called Kill the Jockey.
All right.
I was pretty pumped for getting that ticket. I know no one is going to be seeing that movie, but I am fucking excited.
All right. Yes. You'll have to let us know.
What about you, Jimbo
What
What about
Slice?
you, Jimbo?
What hasn't been talked about? I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be seeing Riff Raff soon. I'm looking forward to Saturday night as well. I'm seeing The Order tomorrow. Very excited about that. And I'm also seeing Without Blood, which is Angelina Jolie's new directorial movie. So I'm very excited for all those things.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of good stuff coming up. We're not nearly done. Keep following us on Twitter and Letterboxd. We're going to be pumping out reviews as much as we can, and we'll talk to you very, very soon with more of our thoughts.
As always, I am still Jimbo, and I'm here with
Big T Tony B.
yeah, and
Huge TIFF fanboy, Dave Baldwin.
hell yeah, and we will catch you on the next episode. Bye.